Life is like a river. Sometimes it flows smoothly, and sometimes it crashes violently against the rocks. But no matter how muddy the water becomes, the truth will always settle at the bottom. In the bustling heart of Enugu, Nigeria, lived a man named Chidi and his beautiful wife, Ifeoma. They had been married for 3 long years. Chidi was a successful real estate developer, a man whose pockets were deep but whose heart was easily swayed by the whispers of the world. Ifeoma was a woman of quiet grace, a schoolteacher who loved her husband with a fierce, unwavering devotion. But their home, which should have been a sanctuary, was a battleground. And the commander of the opposing army was none other than Chidi's mother, Mama Ngozi. 3 years, Chidi. 3 whole years. Mama Ngozi's voice echoed through the marble hallways of their home one hot afternoon. She slammed her fist on the dining table, glaring at Ifeoma, who was serving lunch. I did not raise a successful son so that his lineage would end with a barren woman. Look at her. Even the dry wood in the forest is more productive than her womb. Mother, please, Chidi groaned, rubbing his temples. Ifeoma is doing her best. The doctors said we just need time. Time is a luxury an old woman does not have. Mama Ngozi snapped, pushing away the plate of jollof rice Ifeoma had lovingly prepared. Her food even tastes like bad luck. If she cannot give me grandchildren, she must leave this house. Ifeoma stood silently, her eyes pooling with tears, but she did not utter a word of anger. She simply clutched her hands together and whispered in her heart, Lord, you are the giver of children. Fight this battle for me. But Mama Ngozi was not waiting for God. That very evening, she made a secret phone call to a young, ambitious girl from her village named Linda. Linda was beautiful, but her heart was full of greed. Linda, my daughter, Mama Ngozi whispered into the phone, looking around to make sure Chidi wasn't listening. The trap is set. Pack your bags and come to the city. It is time to replace the barren woman. When a man allows another person to steer his ship, he must not be surprised when it crashes into a mountain. 2 days later, Ifeoma opened the front door to find Linda standing there with 2 massive suitcases, smiling broadly. Behind her stood Mama Ngozi. What is the meaning of this, mother? Chidi asked, coming down the stairs, completely bewildered. This is Linda, Mama Ngozi announced proudly. She is your new wife. She is the woman who will carry the grandchildren I have been begging for. No. I will not accept this. Chidi shouted, his conscience fighting back. Ifeoma is my wife. I will not bring another woman into this house. Suddenly, Mama Ngozi clutched her chest, gasping for air. Oh, my heart. Chidi, you want to kill your own mother because of a woman. Oh. My blood pressure. She collapsed onto the sofa, groaning heavily. Panicking, Chidi rushed to her side. Linda immediately knelt down, rubbing Mama Ngozi's hands, acting like the perfect, caring daughter-in-law. Ifeoma ran to get water, but Mama Ngozi slapped the cup out of her hand. Let her stay, just until my health stabilizes, Mama Ngozi wept weakly. Under immense pressure and guilt, Chidi looked at Ifeoma, then sighed in defeat. Fine. She can stay in the guest room for now. From that day, Ifeoma's life became a living nightmare. Linda did not act like a guest. She acted like the queen of the manor. She wore tight, expensive clothes and constantly flaunted herself in front of Chidi. One evening, while Chidi was at work, Linda cornered Ifeoma in the kitchen. Look at you, Linda mocked, blowing her brightly painted nails. You are just a glorified maid now. Soon, Chidi will see that a real man deserves a real woman. Pack your bags early, teacher, because your time is up. Ifeoma looked at her calmly. Linda, position gotten through wickedness never lasts. I will keep praying for you. But behind closed doors, Linda was secretly meeting a man named Sylvester, her real boyfriend from the city. Don't worry, babe, Linda whispered to Sylvester in a dark alleyway near the house. The old woman thinks I'm here to give her grandchildren. Once I get Chidi to transfer the deed of his new luxury estate to my name, we will strip him dry and disappear together. The devil does not come with horns, he comes with a smile and a promise. Despite Linda's beauty, Chidi refused to touch her. His heart still belonged to Ifeoma. He felt guilty every time he looked at his wife's sad eyes. Seeing that Chidi was proving difficult, Mama Ngozi and Linda cooked up a sinister plot. We will host a small dinner party to celebrate Chidi's recent business success, Mama Ngozi suggested maliciously. Everyone will drink. And we will make sure Chidi drinks the special blend. The night of the party arrived. The house was filled with music and laughter. Ifeoma spent the entire night cooking and serving the guests, acting as the humble hostess. Linda, meanwhile, stood by Chidi's side, slipping a tiny white pill into his glass of whiskey when he wasn't looking. Within an hour, Chidi began to feel incredibly dizzy. His vision blurred. Chidi, my son, you look tired. Go upstairs and rest, Mama Ngozi urged, signaling to Linda. The next morning, the sun rose, bringing a storm with it. Ifeoma walked into the master bedroom with a tray of coffee, only to drop it in horror. There, in the bed, Chidi was asleep, and Linda was lying right next to him, wrapped in the blankets. Chidi woke up with a pounding headache, gasping as he saw Linda. What? What is the meaning of this? How did you get in here? Oh, Chidi, don't pretend you don't remember last night, Linda whimpered, covering herself and crying fake tears. You called me your true love. You told me you were tired of Ifeoma. Ifeoma, I swear, I don't remember anything. Chidi cried, rushing to his wife. But Ifeoma's heart was completely shattered. I trusted you, Chidi, she sobbed, backing away. Even in the midst of the insults, I held on to your love. But this? I cannot bear this. 3 weeks later, Linda took a pregnancy test and presented it to Mama Ngozi with a triumphant smile. Mama, it is positive. I am carrying twins for Chidi. Mama Ngozi erupted in joy, dancing around the living room. She immediately went to Ifeoma's room, threw her clothes into a suitcase, and dragged her to the front gate. Get out of my son's house, you barren witch. Mama Ngozi screamed, pushing Ifeoma into the pouring rain. Your curse has finally been lifted from this family. Chidi was away on an urgent business trip in Abuja and knew nothing of this. Ifeoma sat in the mud, crying, with nowhere to go. But as she picked up her bag, she looked up at the stormy sky. Jehovah, she whispered, her voice trembling but firm. You see my tears. I hand this battle over to you. A lie can travel for 1,000 years, but it takes only one day for the truth to catch up and overtake it. Ifeoma found shelter in a small, dilapidated room on the outskirts of the city, surviving by selling baked goods at a local market. What she didn't know, and what she hadn't yet realized because of her extreme stress, was that her body was changing. One afternoon, after feeling intensely dizzy, she visited a free community clinic. The doctor returned with a brilliant smile. Madam, congratulations. You are 2 months pregnant. Ifeoma fell to her knees, weeping tears of profound joy. God had answered her, far away from the toxic walls of her former home. Meanwhile, back at the mansion, Chidi had returned from his trip to find Ifeoma gone. When his mother told him she had run away out of shame, Chidi's heart refused to believe it. He became deeply depressed, refusing to touch Linda or celebrate her pregnancy. Something is wrong, Chidi muttered to himself one night. I know myself. I could never have betrayed Ifeoma willingly. I need to find out what happened that night. Secretly, Chidi hired a private investigator named Frank. Frank, I want you to look into Linda, Chidi ordered. Check her phone records, check her movements. I smell a rat. It didn't take long for Linda to expose herself. Believing she had fully won, she became incredibly arrogant. She began transferring large sums of money out of Chidi's business accounts into a private account. One sunny afternoon, Frank tracked Linda to a secluded luxury apartment block. He called Chidi. "Sir, come to Block 4B immediately. Bring the police." Chidi arrived, his heart pounding in his chest. Together with Frank and 2 police officers, they quietly approached the window of the apartment. Inside, Linda was sitting on the lap of Sylvester, drinking champagne and laughing loudly. "The fool Chidi thinks he's going to be a father," Linda cackled, rubbing her stomach. "He doesn't know this baby belongs to you, Sylvester. Once the final money transfer clears tomorrow, we are boarding a flight to London and leaving him and his senile mother with nothing." Chidi felt a cold rage wash over him. He didn't just kick the door down, he shattered it. The trap that the wicked dig for the innocent will always swallow them instead. "Freeze! Nobody move," the police officers shouted, bursting into the room with handcuffs drawn. Linda screamed, dropping her glass of champagne, her face turning pale as ghost. "Chidi! It's not what it looks like." "Shut up, you viper!" Chidi roared, his eyes burning with tears of betrayal and anger. "I heard everything. I have frozen all the accounts. You are going to jail for fraud, conspiracy, and drugging my drink." Linda and Sylvester were dragged out in handcuffs, weeping and begging for mercy, but Chidi's heart was completely hardened to them. Chidi drove back to the mansion like a madman. He burst through the doors and confronted his mother, who was happily knitting baby clothes. "Mother, look at what your greed has cost." Chidi cried out, throwing the investigator's file onto her lap. "Linda was a fraud. The child is not mine. She drugged me, and she was stealing my money. Because of your impatience, you threw out the only woman who truly loved me." Mama Ngozi read the files, her hands shaking violently. She realized the gravity of her wickedness. She fell to the floor, weeping and pulling her hair. "Oh, Chidi, my son, forgive me. I have destroyed your home. I have driven away an angel. I am going to bring my wife home," Chidi said, his voice cold. "And until I find her, do not call me your son." For 2 grueling weeks, Chidi searched the city. He showed Ifeoma's picture to market women, street hawkers, and shopkeepers. Finally, an old fruit seller recognized her. "Yes, I know her. She sells her baked bread just down that street." Chidi ran down the dusty market road. And there she was. Ifeoma, looking tired but radiating a beautiful, serene glow, setting up her table. "Ifeoma!" Chidi cried out, falling to his knees right there in the middle of the crowded market, dirt staining his expensive trousers. Ifeoma turned around, gasping. "Ifeoma, please forgive me." Chidi wept, clutching her hands. "The truth has come out. I was drugged. Linda was a fraud. I am so sorry I failed to protect you. Please, come back home. I cannot live without you." Ifeoma looked down at her husband. She didn't yell. She didn't mock him. Instead, she gently knelt down in the dirt beside him and placed his hand onto her growing belly. Chidi's eyes went wide. You are. God did not forget us, Chidi," Ifeoma whispered, a beautiful smile breaking through her tears. "He has vindicated me." When they returned to the house, Mama Ngozi was waiting at the gate. The proud old woman threw herself flat on the ground before Ifeoma, weeping and begging for forgiveness. Ifeoma, true to her gentle nature, pulled her mother-in-law up and embraced her, forgiving her completely. Months later, the sounds of wailing were replaced by the joyful cries of beautiful, healthy twin babies. The home was filled with laughter, peace, and abundance once again. Remember this, No matter how hard people try to bury you in the dirt, if your heart is pure and your hands are clean, God will use that very same dirt to make you grow and flourish. Patience is bitter, but its fruit is always sweet. May justice and peace reign in your home today. Amen.